Hey, morning. How are you guys? I feel like I've lived a lifetime and it's been just the morning. So we're glad you're here. If you're online, welcome. We have Bryn in the house. She is out with her daughter today, Pearl, and we're so excited to have you here. So thanks for joining us this morning, and we're going to enter into worship.
Beyond the end, before beginning, eternal one, creator God, you made the world and it was good. All in all, self-sufficient, so high above, but never distant, made for your love, fashioned from dust. You gave us breath and it was good. And all glory and honor, blessing and power, because your name alone is worthy, worthy forever. The praise is yours. Our face separated, betrayed your heart, our glory faded, went our own way, gave up on love, but you were not, for you are good. You sent your son for our forgiveness, you ran to us, you kept your promise, light of the world, there on a cross. You drank the cup, for you are good. And oh, glory and honor, blessing and power, because your name alone is worthy, worthy forever. The praise is yours. Blessing and power, because your name alone is worthy, worthy forever. The praise is yours. Glory to God. Glory to God. Glory to God. Glory to God. For you are good. Glory to God, glory to God, glory to God, for you are good. And all glory and honor, blessing and power, because your name alone is worthy, worthy forever. The praise is yours. Just sing that out, glory and honor. And all glory and honor, blessing and power, because your name alone is worthy, worthy forever. The praise is yours. All the praise is yours. Sing glory, glory to God. Glory to God, glory to God, for you are good. Glory to God, glory to God, glory to God, for you you hold me close. Like new mercies in the morning still, you surround me, and all I know, in every hour and every day. And oh, I need you, Lord, and that will never change. In every moment, in every way. And oh, I need you, Lord, and that will never change. Oh, that will never change. You're my fortress, you're my hiding place, you're the shelter where I am safe. You have freed me, you have called me by name, and my Redeemer, my saving grace. In every hour of every day. And oh, I need you, Lord, and that will never change. In every moment, in every way. And oh, I need you, Lord, and that will never change. Oh, faithful, that's who you are, more than care for my heart, a lover and friend, there till the end. You are faithful, oh God, sing faithful, faithful, that's who you are, more than able to care for my heart. Lover and friend, there till the end. You are faithful, oh God. In every hour of every day. And oh, I need you, Lord, and that will never change. And every moment, in every way. And oh, I need you, Lord, and that will never change. Oh, that will never change. Yeah, that will never change. Faithful, that's who you are, more than able to care for my heart, lover and friend, there till the end. You are faithful, oh God, you are faithful. And waiting here for you, with our hands lifted high in praise. We praise you, Lord, and it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. Your love stands firm through all my life. Faithful, that's who you are, more than able to care for my heart. A lover and friend, there to the end. You are faithful, oh God. Sing again, faithful and faithful. That's who you are, more than able to care for my heart. A lover and friend, there to the end. You are faithful, oh God. You are faithful, oh God.
As we do each and every week, we're going to enter this moment of Eucharist. And for those that haven't been around with us for very long, these moments of Eucharist the last couple of weeks have been at the end of our gathering, but our normal rhythm is that these come in this time right after song. And we call this the moment of Eucharist and solidarity. And it's in these moments where we light a candle just as a symbol of solidarity for things, for people, for situations that are happening around the world. And there's a slide for this. It seems nowadays there's not a month, sometimes a week, that doesn't go by that we are not holding space for victims and families of mass shootings in this country. I personally, for one, I'm quite tired of have to hold space like this, but this is what we do as people of faith. We hold that tension, that lament, that deep desire for change, for action, for repair, for something to be different about what happens in innocent lives. And so the space we hold today as we receive the Eucharist is the victims and families of the Allen, Texas mass shooting, which happened yesterday. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month. That's why I'm wearing my hoodie, You Matter. Let us compassionately consider the many, including those you know or you yourself, who battle and navigate mental health realities and the divergency that's found within them. And then the Christians that are facing violence and persecution in sub-Saharan African regions that is ongoing, specifically in Nigeria and surrounding areas. And so what we do is we not only take a moment to receive the elements, that element that's sitting on your chair, your table, that reminds us of a love that was poured out for all creation. And that in those moments we receive it, being reminded that we are part of that creation that is eternally loved and embraced. But we hold space and sit in solidarity. And these are just the focuses for today. So just go ahead and take some time with one another or by yourself, however you see fit, and just spend this time in both the Eucharist and this act of solidarity. Go ahead. Well, for those that don't know, my name is Greg. I'm part of the team here, and just want to welcome everybody online and those in the room, and good to be with you. Hey, before I kind of enter this moment of reflection, I just need to say, Steve Beard in the back, happy birthday today. You are loved, my friend. Thank you for serving us and caring for us in the way that you do and have done for quite a while now. For those that don't know, we are kind of in this Eastertide season, and throughout Eastertide, which is known as the 50 days of feasting, it is the time where we leave Easter Day and move to what is traditionally known as Pentecost Sunday, and those are 50 days leading up to that experience. And in this time, it's known traditionally as a time of feasting and celebration. And so we see these opportunities for us to connect with the church globally that practices these significant moments that have started in history and continue into our day today. And so throughout Eastertide, we have been reflecting on this practice of hospitality, choosing to adopt this definition, simple, short. Hospitality is fundamentally about making room. Paul writes about this to the letter to the early church in Rome. Practice hospitality. It was important as part of his ending to that specific letter. And what we hope to consider is how hospitality is more than a restaurant experience or a comfortable hotel. Hospitality is all about the heart, your inner life, and how the practice of hospitality is like a barometer, helping us learn what it truly means to make room for others in our lives. The other day, I was trolling my photos that are stored on my computer. Then again, they're not really stored on my computer. They're stored on a cloud because I pay a monthly fee for an invisible cloud to store my photos. The mysteries of life. Anyway, I don't know if you've ever done that before, where you just start kind of going through some of the pictures of old, kind of looking at how the memories make up your life map, right? Anybody ever done this before? Maybe you've pulled out boxes, or maybe you just scrolled on your phone, or however you do it, right? We kind of go through and we kind of see these little markers throughout our experience of life, and how that mapping really speaks of how we've developed or grown, or some of the hard things we've experienced along the way. And I was doing that, and I don't know where I read this, but I read this at one point in one of the many books that I've had the opportunity to digest. But I was reading, and someone made this comment that place is the container of memory. That place is the container of memory. And I find this to be true, and maybe you have too. Have you ever driven by your old school maybe, or a place that you used to live? And as you do, what surfaces is the memory of what was held or experienced in those places. Is that true for you? Yeah, right? So place is a container of memory. Now, not all places contain fond memories, right? Some may actually contain quite painful memories, while others may be more joyful. But regardless, places in our life, those moments that we have experienced for certain amounts of time, actually become quite formative, and as I said, become part of our map in life. And even sometimes our very lives might be a container for somebody else. Somebody who's known you or spent time with you, have been in your presence for a certain amount of time. They might, when they're with you, you might hold, kind of be a container for the memories that they've shared with you. And but again, places are containers of memories. It could be the ocean. It might be a certain hike that you go on, maybe a mountain or a lake or a walking trail, or even a certain city. For me and my partner, Michelle, New York will always be that place for us because of what we experienced there. And we can't wait to get back there and to kind of walk and be reminded of what we experienced the first time that we were there. But places matter. Place is formative. The physical, the material, the spiritual places really provide us memories that we drink from. And sometimes those memories are really refreshing, and sometimes those memories are not so tasty. When we used to live where our former place was at, we moved about a year ago. But on the street, Old Town Court, we lived there for many, many years. 14 years or so. And we bought our first townhouse, and in sharing time of that amount of time, we saw a lot of people come and go. And this family, the Collins family, was one family that moved in directly across the street from us. Joe, Brianna, Bree, and their child, Xander, were really just a beautiful young family. And we got the opportunity to meet them, and then we got the opportunity to dine with them, and then share our homes together, got to learn about their story. And along the way, what we discovered was that the reason why they had moved into the area is because Joe had been battling kidney cancer, and there was a special kind of trial that he was going into to really help battle against this cancer that was inflicting his body. Now, for about a year, this treatment was really successful. He was regaining strength and his physical stature, but then it just suddenly began to turn, and the cancer began to have its way with him. And the reason why I add this image of the stairwell, this is actually one of their stairwells into their house. It's actually connected to the main level down to the front door. And why that was most impactful for me, and the reason why I put it up there today, is because as Joe began to decline, his brother John and I would actually carry Joe up and down these stairs every day, several times a day if necessary, so Joe could get out to go to his appointments that were pretty much on a regular, almost daily basis at that time. But when he needed to get down the stairs, John and I would meet up. We would get the little thing that we would sit him in, and then we would walk him down those stairs. And then when he got home, John and I would meet up, and we would take him back up the stairs. And this is how it went for probably about 6 months, up and down stairs with Joe. And there was moments where we laughed about what was happening. There was moments where we obviously wept over what was Joe's experience and what we were experiencing because or through Joe's life at this time. Graciously, we were given the opportunity to sit with Joe right when he passed about 3 o'clock in the morning at the hospital. But that staircase for me became a place of memory. It not only became a place of memory, it was a deeply formative ritual and experience in my life. It taught me really what it meant to show up. And I've always kind of battled this issue of showing up. And I've learned over therapy that it's part of my own trauma and stuff that I've experienced in life. But Joe was a gift to me, and he taught me what it meant to continue to show up and be faithful in showing up and experiencing really what it means to make room inside my own life, for me to begin to open myself wide to sometimes the discomfort of those moments, to sometimes just the anguish that Joe was experiencing, the questions that I was having to process in and through his life journey. And I want to pause here because I think all of us have these moments or these places that hold memory for you. And so in this moment of pause, what I'm going to invite you to do is just write down maybe one or more places that hold memory for you. You have a white card that sits on your table. It's normally the engagement card. I'm going to invite you to take a few minutes and kind of write down one place or more places that hold memory for you. Remember, places could be places in creation, places you've traveled to, old homes, schools, workplaces. There's all different kinds of places that have been formative in our life. And so I'm just going to invite you once again to write one or more places that hold memory for you. And then if you're willing, take a few minutes and share your places with those around your table or maybe those closest to you. You don't have to share if you don't want to. It's all up to you. But we're just going to pause just for a few minutes. Not a long time here today, but just a few minutes, and just invite you into this idea of how place is a container of memory. All right, so go ahead. All right. We'll most likely come back to this idea. But following up once again with the Zacchaeus, well, actually, for those that do not know, last week we reflected on the life of Zacchaeus. It's out of the Gospel of Luke in chapter 19, and I'm going to continue into that same story today. Zacchaeus, for those that don't know, was a man of short stature, it says, whose day job was being a chief tax collector, which meant, as a Jewish man, he was employed by the Roman government in exacting taxes of his fellow Jewish siblings and skimming the top of what he collected to line his own pocketbook, making him quite wealthy. This made him not only an enemy of his own people, but most likely a lonely man as well. And as the story goes, Jesus is walking in and through the city of Jericho, and Zacchaeus hears and he wants to see Jesus and get a better look at him. Because of his short stature, he runs ahead of the crowds and all of the fanfare that's happening in and around Jesus, and he climbs up a sycamore tree to get that better look. And bringing back my clip art, you're welcome. I know there's a divergency of the way that we all learn here, both visual and audible, or those that read. So as Jesus walks through, he comes to the tree where Zacchaeus is and looks up and says to Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I'm staying at your house today. And Zacchaeus wastes no time climbing down and welcomes Jesus into his house. Now, the crowds that were there found this deeply offensive, since Zacchaeus is the enemy of the people, someone who deserves to be excluded, someone who deserves to be unwelcome, someone who deserves to be canceled. And so the crowds start muttering out loud, hoping that their dissatisfaction about Jesus entering into Zacchaeus' house is not only heard, but it is shared. And so there is this rumbling that is happening, rumbling of voices that are happening outside of the house of Zacchaeus as he and his friends are sharing potentially the table with Jesus. And as a result of Jesus making room for the enemy of the people, during the course of Zacchaeus spending time with Jesus in that day, Zacchaeus stands and he makes this announcement. And basically he says this, that he is going to make repair for whomever he has harmed. And he is going to pay back whatever the amount of money is that he needs to pay back to those that he has harmed. And so what we see in this moment is really this beautiful ancient idea of kinsu. Excuse me. I've got to get this right. Kintsugi. Thank you, Greg. Woo. Kintsugi, all right? So how many know about kintsugi? Right, many of us probably do. Maybe some of you don't. But kintsugi is two Japanese words, kin meaning gold, and sugi meaning joinery or repair. So kintsugi means golden repair. Now, I love the visibility of kintsugi because instead of trying to glue it together as if nothing ever happened, they repair it in a way that makes filled cracks and old fractures very much visible. They highlight the seams with gold or other precious metals. So a cup or a teapot is still functional, but not the same. The change is made visible. The change and the experience of brokenness and recreation are worn proudly. The item is more valuable than it ever was before, not just because of the gold, but because of the care that went into its restoration. A restoration showing a new kind of strength, a new kind of beauty, a new kind of worth. So, for many of us, you may have read this or know this, but you are the handiwork of God. And these are not my words. These are the words of Paul written to the church, early church in the city of Ephesus. Paul is a man who experienced personally the divine work of kintsugi. the healing and the restoration of God. And he himself became what is known as really kind of one of the first most influential messengers of the good news of Jesus. And the beautiful thing about Paul, for me, is that he carried his kintsugi well. He was not afraid to share with people that he had come from a very dark place, at one point being so angry and so taken by this new movement called the Way, this movement of Christ in the earliest church, that he wanted to somehow silence it, so much so that he was willing to persecute and kill anybody that was a part of the Way. And he became the handiwork of God. He experienced the kintsugi, the divine work of God in healing and restoration. You are the handiwork of God. And work is always happening in each of us. It does never stop, at least I believe. Kintsugi, the image of that, continues in each of us. And in the world of disposable things, our world, it is easy to value the new over the broken made new. It is easy to overlook the value of broken and now repaired things. But the art of kintsugi reminds us that the repaired and the restored can be better than the new, because it tells a story of what it's gone through and how it has ended up where it is. See, people are not plastic cups. We know that. When we change, we learn. When we struggle, we grow. When our lives are restored, we gain new strength, awareness, vulnerability, and the ability to mend the aspects of our lives that need to be fixed. When our lives are restored, when we find ourselves restored, when we find ourselves kintsugied, we move to restore the things that we have harmed, the things that we broke, the things that we damaged. God's handiwork of repair and restoration is the fruit or a fruit of God's hospitality or God's welcome. And this is the experience of Zacchaeus, as well as for many of us. Jesus welcomes Zacchaeus, makes room for the supposed enemy of the people. Jesus creates a free and safe space where a person can become a friend instead of an enemy. And if not a friend, then Jesus makes a safe and free space at the minimum so someone who has been undignified can now be dignified, seen as important, seen as someone who matters, included as a human being with worth, possibility, and the potential that they too, whatever they bring, however they've come, whatever they've come from, can experience the restoration that maybe we ourselves have tasted. And so I'm going to say one thing, and then we're going to end today, and one thing that I hope we can hold on to, and it is this: hospitality is not about changing people. It is about offering people a space where change can take place. There is such a difference in this, and we must understand this. I'm not going to say that, Greg. Don't say that. All right, moving on. But hospitality is not about changing people. It is about offering people a space where change can take place. Joe offered me a space so that I could change, so that I could see myself clearly. He invited me into his earthly experience that was tattered and torn through cancer. But what he did is he woke me up. He helped me. He created a place where there's a memory that every time I drive by that house or anytime I see a picture of him, I'm reminded of the gift that he has given me, that his life became kintsugi for me. Hospitality is not about forcing people to share our convictions. It's about creating room for people to experience what conviction means for their own lives. And what Zacchaeus teaches us is how surprising it is that the healing that God brings into our lives is often hidden in the muck and the mire of the very things about ourselves we wish were not true. Sometimes the secret opening through which we experience wholeness is hidden in the center of the wounds that we are most afraid to approach. I'm sure that for Zacchaeus, he had a cognitive idea, potentially, and we have to use our imagination in these stories. Maybe he had a cognitive idea that he was hurting people, but his cognition did not descend into the center, into his inner life, until Jesus spent time with him, and that he found himself dignified and welcome, that he himself could stand up and declare, I'm making reparations, I am repairing, I am feeling a restoration in me, and I need to make sure that I am somebody that seeks to restore the places that I have harmed or damaged, the people that I have overlooked and stolen from. Sometimes we are afraid to approach those wounds in our life, those places in our life, because we might not feel that there's a place around the table for us to be honest with where we're at. And the gift of the Jesus type of hospitality is that he makes room. He makes room for Zacchaeus to see himself clearly, not with shame, but with the impetus to change. Zacchaeus is hated by his own people. And how does this not sit on him week by week? It begins to break you down. Zacchaeus' wealth can only do so much and bring in relief to his crushed spirit. And so him ascending and descending a tree to welcome Jesus into his home may have been his way to truly see himself through the eyes of welcome and not judgment. And it was through that welcome that Zacchaeus welcomed the work of kintsugi. And the truth of the matter is, all of us walk some form, some path, some road, no matter how smooth or broken it might be, we walk a road or path in healing or toward healing. Because we all know that we're unfinished. And the welcome and the hospitality of God is a door that grants access to healing hidden in the most unfinished parts of our lives. And that in itself becomes a gift to us. That might actually help us welcome God into the places of our life to begin the work of kintsugi in us. That over time, and for all of us it's different, each of us is on a journey and our healing is a different timeline than others, but we'll get to a point, hopefully, where we can begin to feel ourselves restored. And in that restoration, that we begin to offer a kintsugi to others. And so normally in our gatherings, we take this moment to engage one another around the table. And we did a little bit of that a moment ago. But because today's brunch, every first Sunday we brunch together, it's kind of a very Portland thing to do. We have no mimosas. I apologize ahead of time. But we brunch together downstairs in our Flanders Commons, and everybody's welcome to come around the table. So what we're going to do is we're going to suspend engagement here, and we're going to move down there, enjoy food and the table, and we will engage together. And so the TV down there and that room down there will have these questions that will be up there for us to engage. How have you experienced the work of kintsugi in your own life? And hospitality is not about changing people. It's about offering people a space where change can take place. What do you think this looks like practically? And so those are two prompts, two questions that maybe you guys can dive into around the table downstairs. But we are now heading to brunch. It is official. I am done. Let us all stand together, shall we? For those that are with us for the first, second, third time, or however long it's been, thank you for braving the waters yet again. It is great to host you and hold space with you. And for the rest of us, obviously being a part of Alongsiders hopefully is a gift to your life. Thank you for being who you are with us. And may you go in the goodness and the grace of God today. May you enjoy each other around the table. May you eat well. May you laugh. And may you process these two questions as you find yourself around that table. So peace and love be with each and every one of you. Flanders Commons is right downstairs. You go left down the stairs, then go left again. You'll run right into it. If you need a ramp, just go down the ramp, go left down this street, Flanders, and there'll be a ramp right into that Flanders Commons room for you, all right? So food is on. I'll see you down there shortly. Much love.